Reading with your kids.
Well, hello, my beautiful friends. Come on in, have a seat, relax, take a load off. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so excited that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. We're excited that we have listeners all over the world, and we've had guests from all over the world. Today, our guest is coming to us from the beautiful islands of Trinidad and Tobago. She is the author of Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies. Her name is Natasha Carlow. We are very, very excited for you to get to know Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies. I'm also really excited that you can hopefully get to know The Great Maritini. The Great Maritini is my debut picture book. I'm really proud of this book. The Great Maritini tells the story of Sam, who is an aspiring and some would say clumsy magician. He makes a lot of mistakes on stage, and they're really pretty hilarious. It gets kids laughing really, really loud. You're gonna love the fact that the book makes your kids laugh, but you're also gonna love the fact that Sam never gives up on himself, and because of that grit, Sam learns how to perform amazing transformations on stage. But you're also gonna love the fact that Sam learns that the greatest transformation isn't transforming pieces of cloth into beautiful silk, but the greatest transformation of all is transforming feelings of caring into action to help another human being. It really is a powerful lesson. It's been called a modern-day, fun and funny, non-religious retelling of the story of the Good Samaritan. And it's also been called one of the top 7 books that teaches kids kindness by childrenspublishing.com, and it has received Story Monsters approval. We would love for you to check it out. You can read The Great Maritini for free via Kindle Unlimited, and you can also purchase it on Amazon.com. That's The Great Maritini. Joining us on the line right now from Trinidad and Tobago, the Twin Islands, as my guests told me, two islands, one country. Our guest is the author of Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies. Please welcome to the show, Natasha Carlow. Natasha, how are you?
Hi, Jed. Thank you so much for having me. I am happy to be here. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm really happy to speak to you. I was telling Natasha earlier, my wife's family is from Puerto Rico. I love being in the Caribbean and looking out at the beautiful ocean and feeling the ocean breezes and just all the vegetation and everything. I'm picturing myself with you down there in Trinidad and Tobago. It's just such a beautiful part of the world.
Well, if you're here, you should definitely dress for the heat because it is quite hot today in Trinidad and Tobago.
Is it?
But still lovely.
Excellent.
It is.
Well, I'm really looking forward to you telling us all about Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies.
Okay, wonderful. So, Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies is my very first book. I wrote that book for my kids. I do have 2 children, and the book tells our story of how my family came to be, how we experienced child loss through miscarriage, but then went on to have what is known as a rainbow baby. Are you familiar with the term rainbow baby? Have you heard it before?
I have not. I'm really anxious to learn more about it.
Good. So I love being able to share with people who have not heard the term before. So a rainbow baby is a baby that was born after a miscarriage or stillbirth or even the death of a child. So when a family has experienced that type of loss, but then go on to welcome more babies, those new babies are called rainbow babies.
That's beautiful.
It is. So it's...
Yes. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. So as you might be able to tell, it's really based on the idea of the rainbow, appearing after the storm or after that really difficult period of child loss, and something beautiful and almost magical comes out even through that difficult time. So that's the idea behind Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies.
Well, I love that, and this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. We experienced it, and
Okay.
it's one of those things where I think a lot of people don't understand just how very difficult it is.
Absolutely.
What were some of the things that, if you don't mind, what are some of the things that folks said to you after you experienced it that they said to try to help cheer you up and let you know that it was going to be okay?
Well, first let me express my condolences to you and your wife. I know regardless of how many years or how much time has passed, that this is still very much a loss. Mm-hmm. So, from my heart to yours, I'm really sorry for your loss. And, that's a very good question. And we have heard pretty much everything. But you know what? I've come to the place where I absolutely refuse to believe that anybody is being mean-spirited and saying some of these things. Because some of these things have been very helpful, some have not. But I really believe that people are coming from a place of love. So regardless of what has been said, we have been able to take it in stride. But we've heard quite a few interesting things. But I will focus on what has been most helpful to me.
Good, yes.
And, one of the things that someone said to me, an older lady who herself had experienced it, she said to me, she thinks about those babies and she thinks about how those babies were so perfect, and right now she thinks about where those babies are and the beauty that those babies are experiencing where they are right now with God, and that has helped her get through a lot of the more difficult days, and there's a lot of difficult things about loss and life and stuff, but if anything has kept me going, it's the beauty of knowing that my babies are with God, and He loves us and He loves our family, and that's really a central theme of this book.
That's boy. I wish that woman were around when we experienced this.
Yeah, she was a true blessing to our family.
That is, and I appreciate your condolences. Because it doesn't matter how long it's been. It's still a very painful thing.
Absolutely.
But I love this celebration of continuing with the rainbow babies. Now, is this an expression or a term that you came up with, or is it something that folks introduced you to?
So I did not coin the term. Actually, it's a fairly new term. The term started popping up around 2008, and this is a really beautiful thing about the term rainbow baby. The term came from mothers who had that experience. Mm-hmm. It started popping up in blogs, and people would comment on blogs, and these were women who were writing about their experience and searching for meaning and searching for a word that describes that feeling of, whoa, I can be happy again. I can feel joy again. I can feel love again. And they came up with it. So as a mom who has experienced loss and has experienced the beauty of having a rainbow baby, I'm very happy to sort of fall into this really, really cherished tradition, or this really, really beautiful group of women who, and even if they use the term rainbow baby or not, we're moms who have experienced that brilliance of having, sunshine after the rain.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I think was hardest for us, was that there wasn't, there was certainly support from family, but,
right.
The attitude was kind of like, this happens. It happens a lot. And, just kind of got to get over it.
Yeah.
And, that was true, but it really wasn't helpful the way it was presented.
Absolutely. I hear you. And, it took a minute because, there's so much emotion, but it took a minute to realize that even when we don't understand how somebody could be so dismissive of such a life-changing experience, it really says something that people want you to be happy. It says something that people want you to find joy again, you know?
Absolutely.
So I choose to focus on that.
What was your motivation for writing this book?
Oh, wow. It definitely would be seeing my daughter for the first time. You know that moment? You know that moment, right?
I do.
You know, so throughout my pregnancy with my daughter who was born, you know, I struggled a lot with trying to figure out what would I say to her? How much of what has happened? Because I would have had back-to-back miscarriages. What would I say to her? You know, do I even want to share that experience with her? And I tell you, the moment that child was placed in my arms, I knew it was, it was almost like movie magic moment. You know, I just knew that this was her story and I had to share it with her, you know. And when my son was born, because I have a daughter and a son, when my son was born and my family sort of felt complete, and I guess I knew that I didn't exactly want to have more children. My family felt complete. And I just knew that I needed to get this down on paper. I needed to put words to what I was feeling so that I can give it to them. And they can have it in a real and tangible way. But I also know that he knew that the responsibility was on me to take this huge experience and make it child-friendly and digestible for them, because I didn't want to wait until they were adults to share the story. Right. I wanted them to know as soon as they were able to know and to understand. So that was my motivation. It absolutely was my daughter and then my son, and just knowing how many families are experiencing what we were experiencing, and you know, wanting to share that and just find that anybody, I'm so excited when I hear someone has a rainbow baby, because you know, that's community, that's support, and so I just wanted to be a part of that conversation.
Yeah, and you're right. I do think the experience of losing a child through miscarriage makes that moment when your children are born so much more magical.
Yeah. You know, I like to tell people that, you know, all babies are special. Sure. Absolutely, 100%. But there's a single moment that's reserved for rainbow babies. Mm-hmm. Just a small, brief moment at the very beginning that's reserved for rainbow babies.
I'm imagining that this would have been a wonderful book for our family to have in reading with our kids. I know we talked about it with our kids when they were younger, but we didn't have a book, and we didn't have a term, rainbow babies, to talk about. Yeah. What are some of the things that families have shared with you after they experience rainbow babies?
So one of the true blessings of having a book like this and just living in 2019, where somebody buys a book and they go on Instagram and they search the author and they message the author. There's this intimacy between authors and their audience that didn't happen when I was younger, you know. Mm-hmm. So now, in a very real way, I have people who are reading the book, reaching out to me and saying, hey, this was a book that we needed, but we didn't have. I didn't have these words to say to my children, but through this book, I know where the conversation can start. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That was it. More than that was, you would write a book. That's what you would hope for a book. Mm-hmm. You know, that the people who need it are getting it.
That's wonderful.
You know, and they're understanding.
Yeah. Now, who have been some of your biggest influences in you becoming an author?
There are so many. You know, being from the Caribbean, we have a unique opportunity in that we are exposed to so many different types of authors. We're exposed to the American classics, we're exposed to the British classics, and we are also exposed to our Caribbean authors. So being from the Caribbean, we have such a rich history of storytelling. So there are many, many amazing authors that have come right from my own country, from places that I know. So they discuss things that were unique to me. So a lot of my influences, they come from those Caribbean authors, but I also had the experience of loving the classics like Tom Sawyer and David Copperfield, and growing up reading Louis Fitzhugh's Harriet the Spy, which was my absolute favorite book as I was growing up. I read books like The Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, so these were all of my absolute favorite books growing up. And, if I were to talk about my Caribbean influences, we have amazing books like Annie John from Jamaica Kincaid, or The Lonely Londoners from Samuel Salvan. These are amazing books that really shaped the way I understood storytelling and writing.
You bring up an important point that I think, especially here in the States, because I think that we can be a bit arrogant here and a bit short-sighted, and I know that we don't value authors from outside of the States unless they're like big and famous and
really
all
huge,
that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I think it's so. I think it's so wonderful to encourage our kids to read authors from different countries. You get a different perspective. And I don't know about you, but it's, I really like being like the only kid in the neighborhood that's aware of something. Like if I found a band when I was younger and I was able to turn my friends on to this band that I discovered, I was like so happy, and I thought it was so cool. And I think the same can be true for a lot of for authors and for books. And if we kind of go outside of our comfort zone and search out authors from different countries and different cultures, I think it really broadens our kids' perspectives.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of, what is happening now, where books are just a click away.
Yeah.
You no longer have to, rely on what your library provides. You can go on Amazon, you can click a book from any culture, discussing any topic, and, you're there. It's right there. So it's a really, really good time to be both a writer and a reader of books.
You're right. We talk a lot about the fact that we're living in an age where technology is making book writing much more democratic. We don't have to wait for a big giant corporation to decide to give us their seal of approval and to print our books. If we're an independent author, we have the ability to go out there and get it done, and with a click. Well, not with just a click of the mouse, with a lot of work and editing and putting the book together. But once it's together, with a click of a mouse, you can have it available in all over the world in different, 13 or 14 different Amazon stores. But it's also, I keep forgetting the fact that the reverse is true. It's also a great time to be a reader, because we can find these authors from all over the world that we never would have been able to have access to in the past.
Of course, and that's just such a gift, because these books, while I'm sure the entertainment factor is important, they provide so much more value. There's educational value to be had from experiencing someone else's book, and I'll give you an example. When I was a child and I read Heidi, growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, life on the Swiss Alps might not have been, that might not have been something that factored a great deal in my everyday life.
Uh-huh.
It was not something, but man, did I lose myself in goat cheese and goat milk and this little wild-headed girl living on a mountain with a grandfather. It was like a whole new world, and I experienced the world through books. And this was, I'm not going to say how far back that was, but it was some time ago. And so much more has changed and so much more value has been added that I'm really excited for my children and filling their libraries with books that, give them experiences.
Mm-hmm. Are there, since we're on this topic now, obviously this is exciting because my audience is meeting Natasha Carlow, who is an up-and-coming author from Trinidad and Tobago. Are there other authors from Trinidad and Tobago that our listeners might want to check out?
I certainly hope so because, I keep going back to that rich history of storytelling that I know we have in us. It's woven into us as Caribbean writers, and particularly in Trinidad and Tobago. So I will be sharing, and I know that there are many people who have said to me, wow, you did this, you did your book, I want to do one too. So I'm encouraging, and I'm going to be sharing, and I'm going to be putting them on to you so that please, let's talk. Let's get to meet each other. I'm so happy to be meeting your audience, and I hope that many, many more people from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, and other places get to meet your audience as well. So absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, tell us where folks can connect with you to find out more about Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies and find out more about Natasha Carlow.
So you can follow me at natashacarlow.com. That is my website. You can follow my blog. You can follow my writing because in addition to writing books, I do blog as well. And please follow me on Instagram, Natasha Melissa Carlow. Follow me at Facebook, Natasha Carlow Author. And let's keep in touch. I love meeting anyone who has any interest in discussing, this idea of motherhood and this new idea of motherhood. So please, let's talk. I look forward to hearing from all of you.
And we look forward to hearing back from you when your next book is available to the public.
Absolutely. I will keep in touch.
We've been having such a great time speaking to our guest, the author of Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies, Natasha Carlow. Natasha, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. And just before I go, I have to say a very, very special thank you to my publisher, Alexa Bigoff, and her entire team over at Purple Butterfly Press. Thank you so much for the support and your commitment to having voices be heard. I really appreciate it.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Savannah Hendricks. She'll be here to tell us about her wonderful book, Winston versus the Snow. Are you the author of a wonderful children's book? We would love to have you as a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy, and it is a wonderful way for you to tell thousands and thousands of people about your fantastic book. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know about your great book. We will let you know the next easy steps. We want to thank the people who made today's show so very, very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank the author of Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies, our guest, Natasha Carlow. Please be sure to check out her wonderful, wonderful book. I also want to thank my producer, Fatima Khan. Please be sure to check out Fatima's blog at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support that she gives me, and I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Thank you so much for making the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you on the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.